All right. Good evening, everyone. Dave Wilson of the Bring a Hire Show. Tonight, we got Joanna's in the house. How you doing, Joanne?
Woo-hoo. Hello.
Right. It's a great Sunday night again, right?
Oh, beautiful today.
I know. Hey, everybody. We got a great show tonight. It's pretty cool. It's good. We're going to talk about inflation and how it affects families and even employers, what it does to the job market. So everybody knows the drill. We'll be right back after this video. There we go. Finally.
Ooh, powerful.
All right. Well, this subject, I'll tell you, after Joanne, like we were talking beforehand about inflation and how it affects families, and we're going to go over all that tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling you, when you actually break it all down on all the subjects that we're going to talk about, I even said to myself, I was like, wow, how the hell is everybody doing it?
Right. It's hard if you don't have help. It's so hard to make it on your own.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You want to hit groceries first? Do you want to go start talking about that?
Well, I think in general, I mean, groceries, I think is good because that's actually one of the biggest complaints I hear
Yep.
from a lot of people, and is shopping, food shopping.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them. I shop for a family of 5, and I get so angry because not only has it doubled, some things have tripled in price. And meat, especially beef, I can't. It's ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, we were even saying that it says here an average in 2020, it was like approximately for a family of 4. Let's just say assume average in US was $227 a week.
Mm-hmm.
Now in 2024, with a family of 4, if you were buying the same amount of stuff, it's over $325.
Yeah. Yep.
Just for the food.
It's crazy. And I was just actually, when I was looking up some statistics and some stuff, they were saying how fruits and vegetables just in the month of January went up. They're going up monthly. They're going up 1.3% meat. And because the price of meat has gone up, and poultry and fish and eggs, milk, that less people, it said has been a percentage of people, it's been declining because people aren't buying it. They're like avoiding and saying, oh, well, let's just, I guess, eat pasta today. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Oh, Mike, Joanna's the first lady of New York.
I wish.
Yeah, right. But if anybody feels like commenting tonight, please listen. We're no experts. We're just did a lot of research today, and you look at it, and when you're talking about beef and pork, it was and chicken. It said this: the cost of beef has risen due to supply chain disruptions, increased demand, and that's kind of hard to believe. But then pork, the reason is because supply challenges, and it says higher feed cost, and I guess because the cows are grazing versus pigs, and chickens have soared by labor shortages and transportation costs, and when you look at chicken, man. Whew.
Well, that definitely affects cost, transportation, what food they have to provide for them. Yeah. And again, like just to piggyback on what you said about not being experts on this, we're not. So anybody who's listening, is there something you want to add or help us out with? I mean, we just, did some research and found out some stuff. And with the cost of living going up, with inflation and everything, besides food, how about housing, homes? People wanting to come out and, come out of college, what do? They move back home with their parents, or their parents have to help them buy a home or pay for their first year rent.
Well, I told you right there, we were talking right before this, I said on Facebook, I saw popped up
Hmm.
And now you family of four, you figure it's going to be that for a 3-bedroom in Allentown for rent. It
Right.
was 1850 a month for 3 bedrooms. And then you had to pay all your utilities and all that good stuff like that. But my point there is, and I told you, even if you break it down with somebody who was making $11 entry level position, they're making $11
Hmm.
times that by 4. And then each week that would just alone pay their rent. That's it. Comes out to 1840. That is it. So if you're making $11 an hour, that is all you bear to afford, just the rent.
So no car insurance, no car,
Nothing.
no cell phone, no
Nothing.
cable, right?
Nothing.
Gas. So that would be maybe then you are forced to have a roommate. Split
Yeah,
that.
you're gonna. What else you gonna do?
Right, you
What
have no
else for
options.
a 3 bedroom, 1850? That's three. At least that's 2 kids. Let's just assume, say 4 again,
Right.
4 or 5. That that doesn't even count. Now you're talking $200-300 a month in food. And then I was like saying, okay, if it's the groceries, you're still talking like with the inflation. They were saying have a certain percentage how it's going up. Like you said, even with rent and the mortgage, they're
Mhm.
not going to be able to afford that. They are just not going to be able to afford it. You
Yeah.
can't.
And housing, so comparing now the average home is
Right.
400,000. So unless you're making over $100,000 a year, you wouldn't even be able to pay with the interest rates at 7%. You wouldn't be able to afford a home as
The
opposed
average home is up to over 350 now. The average, there's no to find a home for 200 some thousand.
no, it's not happening. You're not gonna
It's not happening.
it's not happening.
That's not happening.
That was a few years ago and interest rates were at 3%. Things were a little bit more doable. Now the average home, 400,000, and it is not doable unless you're making over $100,000 a year. And coming out of college to get that money is very hard.
But how are you going? How are parents? I have a 14-year-old. You have young kids too,
Mhm.
and I have an older daughter. But I told you she's was back in the day. Now you have to figure out how you're going to teach your children. What are you going to teach them? What?
Right.
How are you going to tell them when they just graduate? Let's just assume they graduate high school. They don't go to college. They get an entry level job, or sort of trades. But even making by yourself, making $50,000 a year, you're not going to cut it. You're not going to be able to get a rent and pay all the other stuff that we're going to go over. You're not going to be able to
Well,
do it.
that's
It's
another
impossible.
thing. So if you can't buy a house, and they say, okay, so you want to look into renting. Renting is also really expensive. We're
That's
looking
shot up for some
at
reason. That's going up higher. I don't
it
know
did
why.
for one bedroom in the area over here at $2,500 a month. That's a lot of money.
How the hell they're going to? I couldn't even imagine that. I
That's
can't.
but that is a mortgage. And even if you have your parents helping you and helping you with the down payment, like you said before, will they be able to maintain the monthly bills?
Right. And
You
it says here at a 30 fixed at 3% back in 2020. All right.
know?
30-year mortgage would have cost you about $1,383.
Mhm.
Now, with it being in the 7% range on say a $100,000 mortgage closing cost by 5,000, your rent is going to, your mortgage payment's going to be up almost $2,200 to $2,400.
Yeah. Yep.
How is somebody that young? I couldn't afford that when I was in my 20s.
No.
There's just no way.
And inflation, people, let's say Mike says people always said they wanted a better living for their kids, but now sure miss the old days of hunting and the other things that were way better than today. Crazy society of technology and entitlement mentality. Yeah.
Yeah. And that
It's
was out on 69 News too. They were saying how more people are going hunting. They're going hunting and everything like that. I'm like, all right, well, we did,
Well,
but
I'll
I
tell
don't.
you what, we get deer a couple of times a year because
Yeah,
it's on hunting season and
yeah,
fill up our freezer.
yep.
You know?
But back to the mortgage. The
Yeah.
thing of it is the monthly payments. All right, just on the mortgage. Now, and we're going to go over all these other things. Just say with your cell phone bill, because a cell phone bill is freaking almost like a mortgage anyway. Now, people are paying $200-300 a month for that.
Yeah.
So between that, and we're going to talk about all the utilities on top of all that. It's nonstop, and I don't see how anybody is going to be able to afford a new mortgage coming up 2025, 26, unless you got two people. The average, this is what it says in the U.S. If you're making $100,000 a year for a family of four, you can get by and be able to save money and do everything that you want to do. And I'm like, wow, 100,000. How many people make $100,000? It's not a whole lot.
No, I
You
mean,
know?
again, it's like such a stretch because it affects everybody. So I just want to
Right.
go with some of the research that I did today. How, we talked about how affecting people wanting to buy a home, affecting us on food wise, but also people on fixed income. There's people on
Yeah.
fixed income. You have people, senior citizens, and you have people who are living on their pension. That impacts their affordability on the
Yeah.
necessities that they need and to maintain.
They got 1% raise, I think, this year. I think Social Security got, but
Social Security was $20 more. Thank
that's what I
you.
mean. Yeah.
Thank you.
What do you even tell? What do you even tell people on a fixed income like that? I
Right.
wouldn't even know how they're financial because they've saved all their life. Now you're talking people in their 70s right now. Fixed income, just like you said, they're only going to say they make between both, say 6,000 a month or 5,000 a month.
Right, between
When
both.
you take all these other things down, like you said, with the rates going up, they don't have that other extra income coming in.
No.
No.
Yeah. Now, again, savings and investments. Maybe some people made some wise investments, but
Right.
here it is with inflation. Inflation can erode the real value of savings and investment. If the rate of inflation is higher than the return of investments, then the purchasing power of those investments decrease over time, and this can affect the family's savings for education, for retirement, or any long-term goals that they might
Right.
have. So again, that's why. So these investments. So we've made investments, right?
Right. Yep.
I'm thinking so far so good, but if inflation keeps going,
Yeah.
what happens with my investments if I'm like if I may be at a standstill, and then is
Yep.
it worth that? Is it even worth it?
Yeah,
So
I don't know much about that, and I didn't even if I do, I'm not good with those numbers like that. To where you got to really get somebody that knows what they're
yeah,
doing,
yeah,
especially nowadays. Like on the 401ks. Listen, everybody knows you can. The 401ks are great at work if they match or anything like that. That's great. If you're young, you might lose a little bit, but you're going to gain. But I don't know. I wouldn't know what to tell people on what to invest because I don't know half the time. I'm like,
oh, well,
wow,
that would be obviously you would definitely need a financial advisor or somebody who just knows. But
yeah,
then you have interest rates, right? The central banks often adjust interest rates to manage inflation. So while higher interest rates can help control inflation, they may also lead to increased borrowing costs. So affecting family with variable rate loans and credit card debt. So it's
I
another
thought with the money with that though, I thought the money there. What was I going to say? We were just saying about
interest rates.
the interest rates. So, like, take the credit cards. We talked about that, right?
Right.
The credit cards are like now you're insane. It's like, oh my God,
Now,
29, 30%.
yeah.
It's insane. And that affects, that's what I wanted to, that's what I was going for. With the interest rates, when you said that, not only affects the mortgages, but your credit card. You could be just an average person with a credit card of say $5,000, $6,000.
Mhm.
But if you haven't looked at your interest rate recently, oh my God, it's
It's not
insane.
even worth having credit cards anymore. Then you have people who have budget challenges. So inflation
Right.
can make budgeting more challenging for families. Rising prices for essential goods and services such as housing, healthcare, education constrain household budgets, requiring families to make adjustments in their spending. So, I mean, I right now for me, for example, my kids, I have to send them to a private school, Catholic
Right.
school. Unfortunately, I live in an area where the middle school and high schools aren't so great, and I don't,
Right.
so
Yeah, it's a choice. I think it's great.
it's a choice. But on top, but I feel like I don't have a choice because is it really a choice? Do I put my kid in a school that constantly has kids being arrested, or where there's fights every single day, or do I, you
Yep.
know, I really don't feel like I do have much of a choice. So I'm paying an astronomical amount in taxes. And in addition, I have to now pay for schooling, even though I'm paying so much for school taxes, that a
Yeah.
school that I can't even use. So that is like very unfair. I don't know
Right.
how that's even allowed. That should be something that everyone fights against.
Yeah.
And I mean, doing it by myself isn't helping. And I have to send my school kids to a better school. Hence, budgeting. We have to budget because now I have two
Right.
kids that are going to have.
I don't think anybody. I think everybody has to nowadays. If you're not a good budget person, you need to really get a hold of somebody that knows what they're doing and
Right.
figure out what you can do to try to get through this because I would not know what to tell if I had an 18-year-old that just graduated high school, I'd be like, wow, that
Right.
child's staying home with me probably for the next 10 years
Right.
until
Yeah,
they're
let
married.
them save and let them save it while they stay with you. I mean, I don't know either. I mean, it's so hard. Everything is so on top of schooling, on top of food, and on top of
Right.
interest rates, just everything, the cost of living, all, and then they tax you for everything. I mean, there's a tax we get. It's called a privilege tax. Like
Yeah, we got that just the other day. I had to send the money out.
it's ridiculous. I
One
mean,
percent, 1% privilege to work to live in Wrigglesville. It's 1% tax. I'm like, just to live in the town, we got to pay a 1%.
and you know what? You also it's a privilege tax too. It's ridiculous. They make it up. I don't even know how it's allowed and
Yeah,
who passes it and how it's not for people aren't fighting this stuff enough. But it's like you have no choice, and it just gets me
there you
so
go.
angry when I think about it. But even if you own an investment property, you that's a privilege tax. You have to pay out
Right.
that
Oh, that's
investment
right.
tax.
Yeah, you're talking on
You're
those
giving
houses too.
you're giving somebody a place to live,
Yep.
right? I mean, we're providing a home for somebody, and you have to pay a tax on top of that. Then we were talking about impact on housing, which we talked about. This, cost of housing affects both
Yep.
renters, homeowners. Um, the mortgage payments, property tax, maintenance can put additional financial pressure on families. And then you have employment concerns. Inflation can influence employment dynamics. While
Shit.
moderate inflation is a normal part of growing economy, excessive, which I think now is excessive, high inflation
That's
can lead to economic instability,
oh,
affecting jobs creation and job security. So,
it is. And we got Brittany here. Some of the bank apps now have budget reports that break spending down. It's really helpful to be able to see where you're overspending or making cuts. Oh no, I agree totally
yeah,
with that.
financial advisors do that too. My financial advisor did that for us. Yeah.
Is that what they? I'll
They
have
do
to.
that for you too. They do like a spending thing and they look at what you spend monthly. Yeah.
Hmm,
Thanks, Brittany, for that. That's something
yeah,
maybe you could ask if you're at a bank, you don't have a financial advisor, you could ask your bank to do that for you.
at the bank. And then Mike says, I asked respectively, is it possible that so many people live way above their means because they have because they have to what they don't need and things that their family and friends have it. Yeah,
Yeah. They
it's
have
just
to have
like,
what everybody else has. Yeah.
yeah, if you're keeping up. I wanted to bring this up too about talking about when we say about the mortgage and utilities. Just alone for the heating
Yeah.
now. The
Eating.
average the research I did today was from 2020 to 2024. The average home uses 750 to 1,000 gallons average. At 2020, you would have been paying about 2,000 some dollars a year, 2,200 it was. Projected in 2024, you're talking 3,195 to $4,200 just to heat your house.
It's crazy.
Because the heating fuel used to be $2 and something, and now it's up to $4.26. It's dropped something right now. I know it's not that high, but it fluctuates. But that's what I'm saying. So how are you going? Now you got your mortgage, you got your rent. You're paying $1,850, $2,000, whatever. Now add in another $2,000. I just divided by 12, another $2,000
Right, right.
just to heat your home
Yeah.
or air conditioning, the same cost. It's
Yeah.
just insane.
Yes. Oh,
And I don't know what to tell somebody that, because if you're the spring and fall, your bills were they're a little bit less because you don't have to have your heat on, you don't have to have your AC on. But that's some of the cost that's really causing a lot of issues right now.
I got an idea. Get on a treadmill or on or a stationary bike in your house and do the heat up your house electrically with your
Oh, electrically back in the day, right? Yeah, charge the batteries. Oh my God, that's freaking funny.
and you'll be in shape, healthy, and warm.
This here now, this is a big deal for me. $5 for a large fries at McDonald's.
Yes.
I know. Break it down. What can you buy it in a store, right?
Let me break it down for you.
Break it down. But I'll pay the $5. But $5 for a freaking large fry.
And McDonald's fries, no less.
Right. Okay.
Okay, which are so not healthy for you.
That's all I had.
Okay. Well, that's still those fries. Like, I don't even want to get into what they put on them. But anyway, you can go to the supermarket and get organic fries, the golden ones.
Right.
$4.99 for a 3-pound bag for $4.99, and you can make yourself fries all week.
All week. All right. Well, I'm not going to
4 days, whatever. I mean, who eats French fries every day? But you can make yourself fries, and it can last you.
Right, because a Big Mac in 2020 was $4.89. Now, I'd say Big Mac in 2020 was 49. McChicken was $1.79. 10-piece nuggets 4.79. Now a Big Mac is $8.19.
Wow.
So, but so figure that out. Like, let's just say, it was always nice when you had the kids and
Mhm.
you could go to McDonald's with a Happy Meal. I know it's not very healthy for you, but let's just assume you like that. So you took your kids, you got a Happy Meal for $4, $3. Now a family of four, it's going to be the same price as you're talking $60 to go to freaking McDonald's.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And then they're going to pay. Now, remember, a lot of the newer generation, they pay for all those apps where you get the food, where they
Right.
drive the car. You
Oh,
figure
yeah.
all that Ubers and all that stuff like that, Uber
How do
Eats.
people afford that?
I have never done it.
I,
Only once the girls in the office wanted pretzels, and I said, "Oh, go ahead and order them." They said we're going to get it delivered. It was $24 for 4 pretzels. I was like, "Oh my god,
oh,
oh my god."
I don't even know. DoorDash, right?
Yeah,
DoorDash.
why would somebody pay for McDonald's like that? I don't get it. And then you wonder why things are expensive when you're paying for that. Because let's just say 50 some dollars, but I don't know what even Uber costs, if it's $10 or I don't even know what that costs for you to get your food. But then you got to tip the person.
Right. I
So
personally would never be, I mean, I have to be really sick or something and by myself and completely have nobody to have my food Ubered in, or,
delivered. No, I
delivered.
love it. Now, when it comes to the elderly, I think it's really great for the grocery shopping to where they can have the food.
Oh, that's a
You know,
great idea.
that is a great idea, and it's worth the cost because they can't drive. I'm just saying now now somebody that's retired versus from before,
But
but
how those who are retired even afford something like that? It's really expensive.
yep.
You
So
pay
the next thing I wanted to bring up was healthcare costs. So
Oh,
you're just assuming
you
it's an average in 2020 for $7,221 out of pocket average for a family of four. I went with the four.
for
And then you're still talking, it's almost 11,000 now, just on average, a family of four with all the deductibles that you have.
right.
That's what it is. Here we go. I saw this on the news. Sometimes they have coupons. I've used Uber Eats and paid less than what I would. Oh, geez, Brittany, thanks. But no, but
That's
that.
good to know too. I didn't even know they had coupons for Uber Eats.
Oh my
That's good to know.
God.
I think anybody I know knows that. I mean, at least
Well, they do now. Oh, geez, thanks,
yeah.
Brittany. I mean, I didn't even know that either. But I did see on 69 News again how people are starting to use coupons again.
I have no listen, I'm even now buying things that I don't need to buy organic. I'm buying the
Right.
necessity organic, non-GMO stuff, but things that don't have to be, I don't. I'm like now I'm just that's how
Well,
expensive things have gotten. We have to
well, when
start.
you're buying all that stuff, it'll help you for your healthcare costs because that's going to come down. Because when you
Yeah.
talk about healthcare, you're talking about doctor's appointments. We all know that your copays. Then you're
Yes.
talking your inpatient care, then your outpatient care, pharmacy. Then you're going to the pharmacy. They're
Right.
saying that it's even healthcare is not even going to go down in 2024, 2025. It's up 5.6% more for a hypothetical family again of four. And by next year, we're even going to be paying more, a lot
Next.
more, just to go to the doctors.
So
And
anybody who doesn't have their employer paying for their benefits,
we pay,
you got to pay
we,
out of your pocket. It's a
my
lot.
wife and family with cash, we pay 700 some dollars a month, I believe it is, just to
But
have the
is there
plan.
something that if you can't afford it, that they go with your salary, whatever your salary
Yeah,
is?
you can go through the government. What is it? It's through the government, but you can go and get that through what you make for a family.
Yeah,
So, but like you said, our work offers it, so you got to take what they offer.
right. And
And if
sometimes,
they only pay so much, but listen, I mean, you look at 700 some dollars. Now, the knee I had to pay 5,000 for copay.
mm,
Now I'm set for the year. That's the only good thing is my family deductible has been met real quick.
okay,
So for the rest of the year, now's the time to where you really need to look at your health. If you need to get something done and when you met your deductible,
mhm,
you want to go ahead and get it done because now it's not going to cost me as much as it would be for next year. But to have the kids just to go to the doctors, again, 2 kids going to a doctor's office and medications, because when one gets sick, the other one gets sick.
And how about dentist?
Same
That's
thing.
expensive. So
Yeah, same
expensive,
thing going to your dentist. I
especially
mean,
if they need
it's
braces.
it's literally insane. And then the cost, and then we'll bring up now is the cost of daycare. We've talked about it numerous times.
Yes.
Um, we got Joe Anthony here. Hey Joe, how about the covered drug list from pharmacies like CVS Specialty eliminating something you've been on for 18 years, and now you have to switch away? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
They tell you what you can get. They
right.
basically tell you.
And they basically what doctors, depending on whatever the company chooses for you, what doctors you can go to. And if you've been going to someone for so long and now you have to get rid of them because your coverage doesn't cover that
Yep.
area, that doctor or whatever. But yeah,
This is a big expense for families. I mean, it's a big expense for us because Cash is going to go next week because he has to get physical therapy before he has back pain from sports. So now you're talking cost for that on top of that, on top of my therapy going to physical therapy. I'm like, geez, me and my son are going to the same place, and I'm like, well, my point there is that fortunately, I think it's a $45 copay, but still, there's another $100 within a week, just like that, like that. And I know what he's talking about, the drug list, because there are lists that you can go, I know, to Walmart and a couple other ones that you can choose off a list that it's a lower price. But who wants to do that?
right.
When they're not going to pay 18 years.
Right.
18 years you've been on the medication, and now you got to tell them they got to pay for something else.
Yeah.
It makes no sense whatsoever. But the daycare cost. Oh, wait a minute. I think Brittany said some. Or she already said that. Yep, and there was Joe. Okay.
So, with the daycare cost, well, that to me is usually there's two people working and the one
Right.
person's salary pays for that. And that to me is weird. It's like, either then why don't you just stay home if your salary is just going to pay for daycare, unless you're getting health benefits and you're really just working for the health benefits.
Right.
But I've known people who were
Average.
working and they just their paycheck paid for daycare.
Average a newborn after there are so many weeks, and you probably put them in there, it's almost $700 a week.
Oh,
Some
wow.
are paying $500 to $700 a week for one newborn.
Oh.
But I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
When you look at the cost, I look at a cost, say $500. You're paying people, a company's paying people to take care of your children.
Right.
And I get it though, because they're making 15, 16, or even making more now because everybody wants more.
Right.
The more inflation goes up, we don't keep up with it. The companies need to give an average of 4% now just to cover the rate.
Yeah.
If you were getting it says a 4%. But think about that. That cost is just astronomical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For one, it's insane. But you got to pay it. There's no way around it. And then some people don't take off the whole full. Some ladies don't take off the full time that they're allotted to take because they can't afford it.
Right.
But my point there is, I tell everybody that's what you got to pay. It's because people don't want to pay it, but you need to pay for that. If you're going to have a child, who knows? But the short-term disability, if you pay for that, you will at least get some income when you're out. But my point there is still, it's just so expensive to put two kids. Can you imagine putting two?
I agree, and I'm thinking about my biggest worry right now is paying for just school. That's my biggest expense. Here's the thing: what do we do as parents?
Right.
What do we do? Right? You have these kids. What we're learning now. I mean, our parents didn't teach us, but we're teaching ourselves right now. Investment.
Right.
Future. Right. That's what you have to do. And I think real estate is like one of the best win-wins. Real estate has always been one of the top-made millionaires of the world. So I think real estate is something you want to teach your kids. We as parents have to take it upon ourselves, educate ourselves, and then educate our kids how to be entrepreneurs, how to just invest, how to save. These are things that they don't teach in the schools. They don't teach these kids any of that stuff in school. So it's our job to do it. And I think we could save them by doing that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't done for me, but when I had my kid from her christening to her first birthday, any penny that she's ever got, I immediately opened up a bank account for her. I immediately put her money in a savings so it can grow. And when she becomes a certain age, she's going to be like, "Thank you, Mom." Now,
get a car, get everything that you need.
Right, the things that. And hopefully she'll make a wise choice. And I'm trying to set out a foundation for her by investing wisely now. Obviously, it's going to go to your kids, right? And hopefully she does due diligence with that and is smart, and she blows up with it even more. And I think that's what we have to do as parents. We now have to. We really got to educate our kids because they're screwed.
Well, they're screwed. Like even the college tuition, it shows here that The average, now this is a smaller college, but different from top, $21,000 a year average. This is US average. $21,000 a year. So if you're going to go for 4 years or something like that, whatever, the fees on that with the 1%, 2%, whatever it goes from there. But even on top of that, who's going to pay now is so much harder. Now you got all your rent, you got everything like that, you got all your utilities. Now, how are you going to save for college?
Right.
For at what age do you start? Okay, what happens if you can't? Then you're talking, here comes these loans all over again. Now you're going to be on top of another loan, and that cost their average in 2024, 21,000, and it's saying that they're going to go up 5.74% higher in another year.
And I don't want my kid to come out of college with debt.
No. What else are you going to do? Virginia Tech right now for cash is $50,000 a year.
Oh my geez.
That's what now in state it's 38. But my point there is, what the hell? I looked at cash the other day. I said, see our house? That's your college.
Tell them to go to Penn State.
Yeah, I know, right? Brittany says you have to invest your money in real estate first. Yes, that's what Joanne was saying. Yes. To be able to really invest and get a return, it seems. Same for other investments. Yeah.
And the good thing about real estate and investment is you invest in one house, and then whatever there's equity, in the home that you buy, and you never use your money again, and you always use the equity that's in the home, and you don't have to use your own money. And then you buy another house with that equity, and then the second house gains equity. Use the equity in that house and buy your third house. I mean,
but do you feel that the money, when all these rents are going up this high, do you feel it's because some of the people are buying houses now to try to rent them out, or they're not? Because what I'm saying there is, like, the rents are so high. So if you have somebody, let's just assume you've owned your house now for 10, 15 years, and you want to rent it out, you want to get another house. That rent, why is the rent going up so high? What's causing that to go skyrocketing?
I mean,
you know what I mean?
The reason why inflation is happening in general, just all around. And I think that the houses that are the rent that's expensive, like $2,500 in this area, are more of the new apartments that have gone up.
That's what I mean. Yeah, because
if you're like renting, just I think no, you have to have money first. I mean, you have to have money to put down on your first house. Yes, of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was I saying with the rent? Like, some of the things, properties, houses we have, like, let's say 3-family house,
right?
It's a lot cheaper than the new apartments that are going up right now.
That's what I figured. Yeah,
they're like maybe $1,500 instead of instead of $2,500.
Yeah, and then here's another thing I was looking at: the car loans for 2020 versus 2024. 4.8 in 2020. Now that's even skyrocketed to where your average car was $500 some. Now it's up to $712 a month.
Yes,
average.
How about, is it even just like the basic?
Just to get a car, yeah. You're talking like your loans now are so high to where if your payments are going to be close, your car payment nowadays.
A basic car. I don't want leather interior. I don't want power windows. I don't want.
I know.
Right? It's almost impossible for 20 to 30-year-olds to buy their own house these days due to high listing. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, and interest rates. Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Unless they're getting married or another like we talked before, you see people now renting rooms from each other, and I'm like, but how is a 20-year-old again? I look at my son. I say, wow, I might go to the military, go to college, because when you get off, I don't know what to say.
Learn a trade, go to a trade school, learn a trade. I mean, start a business right away.
But the car loans, forget it. Now you're talking, say, most people have 2 cars. You got to have something reliable nowadays.
Yeah.
You're talking, there's another $600-700 a month on top of everything else that we've gone over here. The average cost of utilities back is in 2024 is $429 a month. That's including everything. Utilities.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're talking $429 a month average on utilities. That's with everything all combined in there. With electricity, now they say the average monthly cost is $117 a month average. So water, sewer, $50 a month. That's about right.
Yeah.
internet, television, cable. You're talking that.
I got rid of
That's,
my cable. I mean, number one, I didn't like what they were showing anymore. I didn't want to support them, and I didn't want my kids watching it. And number two,
yep,
it was ridiculously expensive. And what are you watching? I'm watching 2 channels, and
yeah.
I'm paying almost $200 a month,
That's what
160.
we're looking about getting rid of it. We're going to go for some of the streaming just to see
Yeah,
what we can get
I
from
mean,
there.
you could just have you could have Prime, you could have Netflix or Hulu, and pay $17 a month and have Hulu. I mean, just pick a few things and it comes out cheaper.
Yep. And it is. And a lot of the, I keep turning these pages like that, what we talk about, but it's so much, between natural gas, water, sewer, trash, phone security services. Let's see what else. Oh, the next one I was looking at, we got a couple more here we'll talk about, is the cost of raising a newborn baby. Not so much, even when you talk about the diapers, it's $600 a month, $31 average just to take care of the child, what they
600.
need. That includes diapers and formula on
Mhm.
top of that. But that,
Right.
add that on top of everything else. I'm like, how the hell?
That's why I nursed. I nursed both. No.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, you see a
Yeah,
lot of that
some people
because
can't though, unfortunately. Like there's not everybody, but honestly, it's like our pockets are being
yeah,
we're being pickpocketed in every direction from it's like we're working just to it's out of control.
yeah, because if something doesn't change, I don't care.
Yeah.
They said 65% of the average Americans don't have a savings. I read that. I read a couple times. Like,
Yes. And
do you
I
believe that? Do you think that's accurate? Probably about 60.
yes, and they live paycheck to paycheck. Paycheck to paycheck. Very, very few people have savings.
Right. Just to even be able to just
Yeah.
to
Just
to
they live.
try to figure it out. Because I mean, again, and then when you're married, then you're going through divorce. That's another issue on top of it. Divorce, child support on top of that, and then going from two incomes down to one. I
Yeah.
That right there has got to be a gut punch for anybody.
Oh my God.
Any married couple that's just
Yeah.
going through all that with children on top of it, and it just does not end. It's over and over, and childcare, education. I think they're going to be one of the bigger costs, on top of it all.
I
Um,
think at this point, a lot of people too are actually just saying they don't even want their kids going to college because I mean, some good colleges are $80,000 to $90,000 a year, which
right?
is like, what kind of education are you coming out with that amount of money? I mean,
You're
it's
not. You're
lots of
not.
college is about 80 to 90,000 a year.
On top of that, and then in order to retire, they're saying right now a combined household income should be roughly average on 70,000 a year to retire per person on there. I'm thinking, wow, who's going to have
Yeah,
$70,000 a year to retire?
I know.
Unless you haven't saved up, unless you don't have a
Unless you
401k.
really contributed a lot to your 401k, you have an amazing
Yeah.
pension, like you were a police officer, a teacher in New York City.
Well, they don't have those retirements anymore. Now it's just a 401k. But you're right, the people that got monthly plus their social security, but there again, like we said, how it affects them. It really affects them
Yeah,
because they only make so much. So as everything's going up, they can't spend it.
right.
And that's what everything we've talked about here. But man, I think we hit. Wow, we did the tuition and fees, room and board, health insurance. Yeah, I mean,
Things and investments, interest rates, budget challenges. Yeah. So just so that everybody knows, it's important to know that the impact of inflation on families
yeah,
can vary depending on individual circumstances, employment status, financial strategies. Government and central banks often strive to maintain a balance to avoid both high inflation and
yep,
deflation, aiming for stable economic conditions that benefit households and businesses. But again, this is average. I mean, if you're
yeah.
rich and this doesn't affect you, God bless you.
I know, right? But
For you.
no, that was a good show tonight, man. We hit the almost 40 minutes. We went to 40 minutes. I was like, geez, I didn't think
Yeah.
we would
Put anybody to sleep
on a Sunday night.
on inflation? On a
On inflation. But no, I enjoyed a show like this because it just put in perspective for my own when I was doing this. I was like, I'm doing numbers. I'm like, wait a minute here. This
Yeah,
is us. This is us. And I'm like,
this is us.
when you break it down, you're like, what the hell?
Mhm.
Of all the food and everything all together. I'm like, whew. And that doesn't matter. Then we didn't even go over, like I said, there's a lot of things like family vacations, try to save for that.
Oh
just
yeah.
to be able to, just to your own peace of mind for sports, for doing for your kids on top of all that, you know, with the
Well,
schooling.
a lot of people, like I said, now homeschooling, hunting, more and more. Have a blessed week, both of you. Thank you.
Yep.
You too,
Thanks,
Mike.
Mike. Yep.
I think more and more people are going to start growing. More and more people are growing their own food. I'm one of them. Hunting. I'm one of them. You know, like just we
Yep.
have to start doing things that we have to become more self-sufficient and not paying for things to be done for us. We have to just do them now for ourselves and save money in that way.
And that's it.
So,
All right, young lady. Well,
young man, thank
yeah.
you very much. Great.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We'll be back next Sunday, and I'll put this video on, and I'll talk to you right after this. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.